So a major revelation has emerged amidst the ongoing military conflict between Iran and Israel. Now, it's not confirmed, but according to credible U.S. sources, President Donald Trump personally rejected a plan by Israel to assassinate Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei. But why would Israel plan such a high-level assassination? And why did Trump say no? Let's understand everything in today's video. Well, over the past few days, tensions between Israel and Iran have boiled over into open military conflict. It began with Israeli airstrikes targeting Iran's nuclear infrastructure. In retaliation, Iran launched missile and drone attacks on Israeli territory. This direct military exchange has entered its third consecutive day, with casualties reported on both sides. Amidst this escalation, reports are coming in that 3 U.S. officials claimed Israel proposed a plan to assassinate Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei. According to them, Israel claimed it had developed a credible plan to eliminate Khamenei, who holds the highest position in Iran's theocratic system. The idea was that by killing Khamenei, Iran's leadership would collapse, or at least be severely weakened, giving Israel an upper hand in dismantling the Iranian regime and its nuclear ambitions. However, when President Trump was briefed on this plan, he reportedly rejected it outright. According to one senior U.S. official, President Trump told Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that killing Ayatollah Khamenei is not a good idea. He emphasized that the U.S. would not support assassinating political leaders unless Iran directly attacked American personnel or interests. President Trump reportedly believed that such an act could lead to an uncontrollable regional war. The American government is desperate to keep Israel's military operation, aimed at decapitating Iran's nuclear program, from exploding into an even more expansive conflict. President Trump feared that killing Iran's top political and religious figure would likely trigger all-out war, not just with Israel, but potentially dragging the U.S. into direct military confrontation. The second thing is that it could affect oil supply and trade routes. Already, we're all witnessing that oil prices are jumping very fast, and if a very big event happens in Iran, then there are chances that they will try to disrupt the global economy by blocking the StraitOfHormuz. Third, the U.S. national debt is increasing. Right now, the U.S. is not in a position to participate in any kind of war, and domestically, there are many challenges as well. So that's why President Trump is not supporting this Israeli mad plan. Now, in a recent interview, when Benjamin Netanyahu was directly asked whether President Trump had rejected the idea of assassinating Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, Netanyahu neither confirmed nor denied the report. Instead, he said, "There are many false reports of conversations that never happened. I'm not going to get into that."
There is a Reuters report just moving saying that President Trump in the last couple of days vetoed an Israeli plan to kill Iran's supreme leader, according to 2 U.S. officials. Is that true?
Actually, there's so many false reports of conversations that never happened, and I'm not going to get into that. But I can tell you, I think that we do what we need to do. We'll do what we need to do. And I think the United States knows what is good for the United States, and I'm just not going to get it beyond that.
So he really tried to brush off this topic. And to be honest, no country in this world would ever admit that they're trying to assassinate another country's top leader, even in a war situation. And in the case of Israel, I think, this is my personal opinion, they will eventually assassinate Ayatollah Khamenei, and President Trump may become very angry after this, but he won't be able to do anything about it. Now, in another interview, an Israeli official said that Israel, as a policy, does not assassinate political figures, focusing instead on nuclear and military threats. But we all know how much reality is present in those words. So time will tell whether Israel will assassinate Ayatollah Khamenei or not. But one thing is for sure, Israel wants a total regime change in Iran. Just like the Islamic Revolution came in Iran in 1979, now Israel wants a pro-Israel revolution in Iran. And many sources suggest that the idea of regime change through force has been gaining traction within some Israeli circles. Also, in Benjamin Netanyahu's various interviews and clips, he directly tried to speak to the Iranians and try to convince them to rebel against their own government and topple Iran's Islamic administration.
But to the people of Iran, I say you're great people. You're people of great talent and genius. You have been usurped by this tyranny that has robbed you of hope, has robbed you of a good life. You know, I speak to the Iranian people directly. I don't know if you know this, Brett. I do these videos. I get millions and millions of responses. And they say, Viva Israel, bravo Israel, free us from this tyranny. And I say to them, your hour of freedom is near. Rise up, be free.
Now, some may ask, why was Israel planning such a bold move? Because if this really happens, it could have very devastating results, especially if Iran really made nuclear bombs and hid or tested them in another country. Well, Israel has been engaged in a long-standing shadow war with Iran, targeting nuclear facilities, arms shipments, and figures like General Qasem Soleimani, who was assassinated in 2020. Ayatollah Khamenei is viewed by Israel as the center of Iran's resistance architecture. Eliminating him could paralyze Iran's strategic decision-making. However, such a move also carries immense risks. It could unite Iran's factions, trigger retaliation on U.S. bases, and lead to a broader war involving Syria, Lebanon, and even the Gulf states. So in simple terms, if Iran's supreme leader is assassinated by Israel in this ongoing conflict, then there are chances that it could trigger a full-scale war across the Middle East. Another possibility is that Iranians themselves could launch a coup against their government. The anger regarding their government among Iranians is increasing day by day, and now that Israeli bombs are directly raining on Iran cities, it further increases the feeling among the public to get away from their government and save their future. So President Trump's decision to reject the assassination plan reflects a careful balancing act, aggressive rhetoric combined with a desire to avoid direct wars. However, Republicans are now divided on this issue. Some, like Rand Paul, Charlie Kirk, and Tucker Carlson, praise President Trump for restraint. Others, like Senator Lindsey Graham, argue that if diplomacy fails, the U.S. should go all in, including joint military operations with Israel. Meanwhile, President Trump is going for the G7 summit in Canada and suggested that a peace deal is possible. Iran and Israel should make a deal, and will make a deal soon. Whether that's realistic or not, only time will tell. But he also warned Iran that, if we are attacked in any way, shape, or form by Iran, the full strength and might of the U.S. armed forces will come down on you at levels never seen before. So in conclusion, this rejected Israeli plan shows us just how close the world came to a potentially catastrophic escalation. But the road ahead is uncertain. The Israeli military has shown no signs of halting its operations. Iran, in turn, has signaled that it will continue its retaliation. The risk of this limited conflict turning into a multi-front regional war is very real. A single attack on U.S. bases by the Iranian regime, or any false flag attack by Israeli forces on U.S. bases, can take this war to a much more brutal level. So this was a breakdown of one of the most sensitive revelations in recent times, involving Israel, Iran, and the U.S. president. What do you think? Was President Trump right to block the plan? Should Israel target Iran's top leadership? Or will this escalate into a full-blown war? Thanks for watching. Hope you all have a wonderful day.